Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Meet the Pros. Today, I am interviewing one of our OG UAG members, Mark Thomas, or Mark the Builder, as some of you know him. Everybody say hi to Mark. Mark, say hello.
Hi, everybody.
So I'm going to let you introduce maybe yourself. What is Mark the Builder? Where are you? What do you do? All that kind of stuff.
Sometimes I think it could be a little bit complicated. I can remember a couple of years ago getting a message from Danny Lanier. He said, "What exactly do you do?" And it's kind of a long story, but just to quickly summarize, my career after going to college was we have a family business of home building, and so I've kind of I grew up in that business, and then around 2012, Michigan hit a pretty tough economy with a lot of foreclosures. And at that time, we just couldn't sustain the business. And I had an opportunity to take another job. Well, actually, let me backtrack. When that was slowing down quite a bit, I had a commercial zero-turn mower, a truck, and a trailer. And we had a spec home, we had a sales lot. My parents' house, they were on quite a bit of land, and myself, so I bought a zero-turn mower, a nice 61-inch deck, and I just really loved being on that mower and making the stripes. Just the look of that lawn was awesome. And then that business started to decline quite a bit with all the foreclosures, and I started doing some lawn care to make ends meet until the housing market picked back up again. And the way Michigan was hit so hard, I ended up just having to look for another job and doing lawn care. And I had always wondered about making the shift full-time into lawn care. I had up to 15 accounts, so I was spread out with family and working a part-time job and doing lawn care. So I did that from 2012 until 2017. And then at that point, I started still doing lawn care. I took a full-time job as a facility manager, overseeing a 45,000 square foot building and a rental house, and then 5 acres of land. So I've been like the hands-on person doing all those building things and all the landscape and lawn care. And I'm still currently doing that, but I'm in the transition trying to get back to being self-employed. So I'm thinking this might be the year that it happens. It's just something that takes a lot of patience trying to make it happen, but a lot of the plans are in place that this looks like a good year for that to happen, hopefully.
That's fascinating. I remember when you and I first talked, 6 years ago, I guess it was, when you applied for the UAG program, and we were doing the interview to see if you were qualified, or if you had the right attitude for it, all the things that we were looking for at the time. And I remember having to explain you to our sponsor. It's like, we're going to, and I struggled. I remember this conversation with her very, very well. I was like stumbling over my words because I couldn't describe you and exactly what you did. And, I remember the whole home builder thing, and that how you were building homes, but at the time, 6 years ago, you were also doing other things, and between the lawn care and the tools and everything. Anyway, 6 years later, obviously we made the right decision because you're still around. We haven't been able to get rid of you yet. You're one of the few original UAG members. I think there's only 3 of you that were here in the first, right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that have been welcomed back every year. So let's talk a little bit about this whole concept of basically having to shut down your business I remember those years. Was it 12 years ago, I guess, 13 years ago now, when not just Michigan, but I remember the whole world got hit really hard with the depression.
Yeah.
And having to rebuild. It takes a lot of fortitude. A lot of guys would not have it in them just to have to go through something like that and then say, well, I'm going to find my path back, however long it takes. So I admire you for that. What are some advice that you may want to give, having gone through this journey yourself, to getting back to being self-employed after, having to shut down a business?
Yeah, it takes a lot of patience. That's the first thing. Just taking one day at a time. I think being resourceful is trying to lean on that as much as possible before saying no to opportunities, saying yes to and considering them, or consider them before making a decision. When I was doing the 15 accounts, people would ask me different things like taking a beehive down, if I'd be interested in that's something I could do. And before saying no, I'm not going to deal with that, I found a way to do it, gave them a price, and it worked out. So I just took a lot of necessary steps. So just trying to be resourceful and patient, and then meeting people, trying to surround yourself with people that can help you. Sometimes that just, it's who getting doors open. And I think just being the user advisory group, that's just a great resource of people that I've met, and it's opened doors like going to GIE and helped, with my social media. So I think Echo is really who I have to thank when it all started, with the aspect of what I do with social media.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And that's funny. I want to circle back to the saying yes and saying no thing, but on that point, maybe you can give us your thoughts on it. A lot of people that apply for UAG membership, there's like we get thousands of people who apply every year, as you know, and and it's funny to me that the majority of people who apply, the most common responses when we ask, like, why do you want to be a member? It's, oh, I love Echo. I love Echo. I love Echo. All of my tools are Echo, which is not the point of the UAG program, or the Echo Means Business community at all. And the second thing they say is, oh, I've got so many followers on Instagram. I got so many followers on social media. But then I don't think they're paying attention, because we don't actually look for people with large social media followings. Some people have them, and we bring them on board, but not because of their following, but because of other reasons. What's been your experience, your perception as a UAG member, and watching the people come and go over the years? What's the main criteria for somebody becoming a UAG member, user advisory group member?
I think it's somebody having their own voice, somebody that's not afraid to say what they really think. If it comes across looking like it's sponsored or it's biased, then I think you're going to lose your trust in your followers. So, there's been some videos and some things that I've done over the years where things haven't panned out the way they should. And I would first give the manufacturer an opportunity to respond to it and see how their customer service does. If they have really good customer service, I think that's a great selling point. So I think, just being true to their audience. And the one thing I like about being in this program is that being completely honest, that's what is always pushed to us, to tell what we really think. If it's something that's not working good, then we should say what we really think. And having that message promoted, I think that's a real important part. And I really like being in the program, especially like for that. That was one of the first things I heard. And I said, yes, this is right for me.
Yeah, that has been our mantra since day one. Talk about any product you want, like any product you want, use any product you want, be honest. But I think I like what you first said. I'm glad that it resonated. We look for people that have a point of view, people that have a voice, and people that want to mentor. If you don't have the desire to mentor people with no money, no incentives, we don't pay for your participation. All your time is volunteer. All your mentorship is volunteer. So if you don't have it in you to want to mentor other people, I don't care how many social media followers you have, it's worthless to this program. Not that it's worthless, it's just worthless to this program. You could do with it what you want. But you said, sometimes saying yes and saying no. I'd like to circle back to that when you were talking about your journey back to where you are now and the success that you've been achieving. Does it make sense? When do you say yes and when do you say no? Like when you're trying to get back, do you just say yes to everything and just make a buck and hope that something works? Or is it smarter to say no I'm gonna, suck it up a little bit. I'm not gonna take that revenue because it's not right for my business path to where I want to be.
Yeah, I probably said yes to more things and trying to learn from that. And I think as I started to grow and see what's a better fit for me, then like now I just see myself saying no a lot more and seeing where is my time best served. But I think initially, like getting started, there are some things that just said yes to a lot of things. I was thinking like in some lawn care clients, I would like to stay in one geographic area if I can, but there are some that reached out to me and really could use the extra money, the income from that. So I took some that were a ways away from me, and so sometimes just getting established, I think you just have to say yes a little bit more and be hungry. And then as you start to fine tune things and shape it, I can still remember like that one far away one when I was able to tell them like I completed that year, but the next season I told them I wouldn't be able to maintain it because I found some other people closer. And it was just as you grow and fine tune, then I think that's a real helpful thing to
Yeah.
be efficient. So yeah.
The one thing you really didn't mention that I think is important, and one of the things that I admire about you is that not only are you a very honest person, you're very humble.
Mm.
And I think that humility goes a long way, that you need to be humble when you're rebuilding. And you can't be too full of yourself. You need to realize that, whether it was something that you did or whether that was something that was done to you, like in your case with the economy that just goes the way like the pandemic hit the industry now. None of us could have done anything about it. But just being honest with where you are, that sincerity and humbleness comes across. I know it's certainly one of the things that I picked up from talking to you. And I know that with clients, that will be really big.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I started a business right out of university. Actually, I started my business while I was in finishing high school. And so my first business, in my first year of university, I was already running a business. And I did that for a lot of years. And then when my son was born 10 years later, I ended up walking away from all of it because I just couldn't take the pace and I wanted to focus on my family. And it was quite a journey getting back to running my own business now. And I had to learn humility because I was really full of myself. I still am, but I was much more so back then. And I found it hard to get a job. People were saying, "Oh, Sam, you're too much of a maverick." That's what they were saying. Too much of a maverick. You're going to be hard to train. You're going to be, you come across as a little too arrogant. And I was, because I thought I knew everything. I had a very successful business until I walked away from it. And for me, anyway, that was one of the things that I found my path back. And as just learning to be humble, and then working your plan. But I also found that saying no was probably one of the best things I learned over that period of growing my business back to being successful. And that was, I'm in a different industry than I was back then. But when I was saying yes to everything, I found that I was taking on work that was moving me away from my path and from what my core focus was. And then when I started to say no, I noticed my sales doubling every year. And it's only because I was only taking the jobs that aligned with what I did. And it's almost like putting it out in the universe. This is what I do. This is all that I do. It's all I'm going to take. And then eventually they all start to find themselves to you. So for whatever that's worth to people out there, you've inspired that in me.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's great advice. I think one thing that helped me with humility as a home builder, we did a lot of turnkey package homes, and there were a lot of first-time home buyers, and it was a lot of like young families, and the building process, a whole like breaking ground, putting a basement or foundation in, putting the house, that all just takes time. And then a lot of times there's like a young family living with the in-laws, and they might have a child or a baby, and then there's like the mother and father-in-law interjecting, and you can just see when they're all under one roof for a while, they're just going stir crazy. Yeah. And as a builder, like when I had to say, well, the cement truck couldn't make it today for some, or like there's a delay for some reason, and having to tell them when they're, just their stress is at an all-time high, that was something I was dealing with people that are completely stressed out all the time. And I remember arguing at first, and I actually worked with a serviceman that was a retired police chief from a small town. And he is somebody that I watched how he talked to people. And he was, where I was wanting to argue, he was more calm and let them vent a little bit. And then just had a way of going that route. And that's just something working with him I kind of picked up on, just, you know, taking a deep breath before saying something and listening to them, but try to prove them, you know, try to fix that one thing that's their issue. So
Right.
if you fix that first thing, then they kind of back off.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about you personally. Now you've got a great family. You got boys that you know, travel with you, have worked with you, sometimes featured in your videos. Talk a little bit about the challenges that you may have faced or not in terms of raising kids while trying to build a business and manage everything that you're managing.
Yeah, it's tough when I had 15 lawns and working a full-time job, and then all my kids are in sports. So just trying to, just there wasn't really a lot of free time. You know, I used to play a lot of basketball with some of my own friends, and it just was tough to do it all. And so I had to definitely give up some things. But trying to, just working with my wife, trying to balance the schedule. I can remember one time, all three boys had something at the same time that we had to be at. And my wife and I are trying to figure out how can we do this. So we, just every day was just a new challenge. Like, how are we going to juggle getting everybody to these places? So it's just, I don't know how we did it. It's just something that you just have to take every day. And one thing, if you can prepare as much as possible the night before, getting like my truck ready with fuel, the lawnmower ready, the blades, if there's any preventive maintenance that you can do on something, I would say, especially at the beginning of the year, if they say like there's something that could, a belt or something, get it fixed. I've had broken down mowers on job sites, and it's not fun. And having to be resourceful, figuring a way to get their lawn mowed when my truck's down. I've had to pull my trailer with my wife's minivan before, so
I've heard
to get by.
And then when you have to deal, knowing that running a business, especially this kind of a business, is going to, that kind of stuff, they say, shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that you got kids waiting, that need to get to that basketball game, need to get to their soccer practice, whatever it is that they have to get to, or just getting home to dinner, to have some time with them, helping them with homework. I know that's a challenge for a lot of people in this industry. How do you balance priorities? Because when you're trying to grow a business, I'm asking you this specifically, not only because I know you're a great dad, but because you're building a business, right? And that sometimes you have to, you got to prioritize building that business, and that sounds heartless sometimes, but it's also for the benefit of the family, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes I've heard, I've been a fan of Dave Ramsey and his being debt free, and that's something that I've worked on. Just I enjoy like listening to his podcast while I'm mowing and hearing like ways to manage your money. And he always has that phrase, live like no one now so you can live like no one else later. So when you're living like no one else now, that means you're just all in. So sometimes if you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel and you have to sacrifice some of those things so you can then free up or grow. Sometimes it's just a short-term thing that you have to go through. But I did always try to manage having a 1-week vacation every summer that was very memorable. Northern Michigan has some pretty awesome places to see. The one place that we stay, I think it's rated like the top 10 most scenic places in the world, on the Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes. So just trying to at least schedule something to look forward to, and then see there's light the tunnel, work towards that. So you do have more time.
So And that's good advice. And the fact that you're willing to able to take a week in the summer, which is the busy season. I know very, very few lawn care, arbor or hardscapers in this industry that take any time off, a weekend, let alone a whole week in the middle of the summer. That's that's dedication to the family. I respect that.
It's a lot of juggling, looking like 2 weeks ahead of time. Okay, if I do it this there, but if it rains, and there's one time I just had to mow their lawn one time, then 2 days later mow it again because it grew so long. I knew if I waited a whole week, it would be like a foot tall. So I just had to do all I can do to make it happen. But you have to be creative sometimes and resourceful.
Definitely. One let's end this. I want to on your YouTube channel, and your online persona in general. So you've had a fair, you're quite well known. You've had a lot of success in the social media space. With your, I always call you Bob the Builder, just because with your name. So every time I want to say Mark, Bob the Builder will come out. So you've got this online persona, obviously because you were a home builder. In terms of your career, you know what you're doing, and you focus a lot on tools, not just lawn care, two-stroke, handheld. You cover the gambit, and that's actually earned you a lot of accolades and a lot of other sponsors that you've been able to work with and generate some revenue from, which is fantastic. What is the secret to having like a good YouTube channel for those people out there that maybe want to follow in your footsteps?
Hmm. One thing that's helped me, my house is about 25 years old, and as things broke, that was an opportunity. Hey, I can make a video of this. There's some things that I thought, well, I'm not going to make a video on that, but I did and put it out there thinking that it would get no traction, and then all of a sudden it just gets 100,000 views. So I think things that have happened to me, that's been a good opportunity. Yeah, I was looking at some of my numbers earlier today, just seeing like I've had like over 600 uploads, and some I can recall back to when I first started looking at them, and it's like, whoa, just cringing, like, oh. So just slowly growing, and then as a little bit of income came in to update some of my media gear or some of my video and photography, it's just been a slow process. It's taken patience, and there's some videos that I'll upload and they don't do that well, and some do. It's impossible to figure out what YouTube wants, their algorithm.
Yeah.
But just trying to, I think for me, it's doing things that I enjoy doing, because what's going to happen later on, people are going to ask me about that video. So if it's something I have no idea what I'm talking about and it does really well, people might start, like I had a video repairing a washing machine, and now I'm getting all kinds of people asking me, like I'm an appliance expert. So it kind of helps to make stuff about things that you're an expert on. So I think like power tools in general, lawn care, landscaping, hardscaping, those are things that I've been doing for quite a long time throughout my whole career. So even as a home builder, a lot of the turnkey packages involve hardscaping and retaining walls and things like that. So I think things that you're well versed in and have a lot of interest. So when people are asking about it later, you're happy to jump in and respond. So, doing what you love.
Is it a situation of build and they will come when it comes to sponsors that you go after, or like are they saying, hey, I like your channel, I like what you're doing, or is it more you focusing, okay, I want to get these types of sponsors, I want to make money this way, so I'm going to develop a content calendar that focuses on these types of videos. I need these types of followers, I need to be at these types of events.
Yeah, I think for me, I went after the sponsors quite a bit at first, and then I think as you start to grow, then they'll start coming to you. There's still some that I reach out to, but there's still a lot that just aren't a fit at all, and I'm saying no to quite a few. So I think it's like getting a rocket off the ground. There's a lot of work up front, to get that lift, but then once you get coasting, then you can kind of let off the gas a little bit, and then they'll come to you.
All right, makes sense. All right, well, thanks for the time. I hope everybody got to know you a little bit better, learn something from you. For those of you that are not following Mark on Echo Means Business or on one of his channels, how do they find you, Mark?
Mark Thomas Builder on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. It's Mark Thomas Builder Tool Reviews. So you can find it all right from my YouTube channel.
Great videos. Yeah, follow the pattern that he does. It's a really good style video. And of course, Mark is one of our mentors on echomeansbusiness.com, as well as the mobile app. So follow his content and videos that he's posting on his channel there as well. Thanks, Mark. Great talking to you as always.
Thanks, you too, Sam. Appreciate it.